Hello friends, today I am going to take you on a little tour of my garden. In the cooking segments, I'm sure you've heard me say, oh, I'm just going to pop out to the deck and get whatever, usually some type of herb. Well, I'm going to show you where it's all grown. Those of you who have your own homes or have a patio at your apartment, I know are looking into growing things, since it's harder to go to the store and just get something right now, which is an awesome idea. Uh, don't be discouraged if something dies. It's happened to, I think, everybody who ever tried to grow anything. So don't get discouraged. Just keep trying. Read the directions carefully. Do not overwater. Those are basic instructions, and you'll get something growing soon enough. Some things are also really, really hard to kill, and I'll show you some of those because I have some of those too. First of all, this is a prominent feature. This is my trusty rain barrel. It's kind of actually a really nice to have. I got it when our well went dry a couple of months ago, and we were without running water for 2 weeks, almost exactly to a day, 2 weeks. And so this is one of my water collection devices. I have another one for the indoors, but it does, it has a little faucet. I can fill up a watering can with it, and I can water plants. I can do whatever. I can hook up a small hose here. So if it's something you want to consider getting, get one. And generally, it's not supposed to sit like that. It is supposed to sit under a cutout from a rain spout. But at the time when I first got it, I just had no time to get it set up, so I just hoisted it on top of this little outdoor table, and that's where it stayed. So then, let's go. Actually, we're not going to go outside just yet. We are going to go inside because certain things that are related to the garden start indoors. Looking at right now is my little cutting experiment that is taking place on my kitchen counter next to the window. The little white pieces you see floating here are actually inserted into bits of plastic envelope I cut out and made holes in. And those are the bottoms of the spring onion. And you can see one had already sprouted. You can see the little teeny little green tip over there. The other two are bits of a red onion. I was working with something for a cooking project today and discovered that particular onion had really good roots. So I set it out here as well, and we'll see if it sprouts. So if you have absolutely no room or anything like that for the garden, this is one of the things you can do. You can save up bits of spring onion, regular onion, garlic, right? And you can set them in a container of water like this, like a little bowl. This is a tiny bowl. This is like a cereal bowl size. And see if they sprout. And if they do, you can just plant them in a small pot, on your kitchen counter and have just little something something where you can get some fresh cuttings. So that is going on. I'm hoping it works out because I love onions. This box, a fairly shallow box installed on the railing, and the one next to it are my two ground cover boxes. So for both of these boxes, it all began with one plant here, one plant like this little ground cover, and one plant like this. This one is called Creeping Jenny. No, it's not an illness. It's an actual plant. And over the couple of years that I've had them, they have just spread. So occasionally I just sink my fingers in here and pull up a piece and plant it out on my slope. And we'll see the slope garden as well in a short while. And they just keep growing and growing and growing. So eventually I'm hoping to replace all the weeds out there with these nice, neat looking, nice ground covers that are much better looking and do not choke out the useful plants that are growing there. These big cedar wood boxes are sold by the company called Gardener Supply. I have several of them. As you can see, these are pretty well weathered. You know, they have that grayish color, and I use them for everything. So this is a mixed box. It has some Sweet William growing in it. That's for the pollinators. It has a brand new thyme plant in there, so it's just starting to sprout new growth. It's got some dill and some more Sweet William for the pollinators. Moving on to the next box. This one has a ton of stuff, and this is all old plants. So the first one is sage, and it is already huge. You know, it hasn't been warm for that long, but it is already enormous. And I've had this sage for I think like 3 years, and it survived the winter no matter how cold it was. It got snowed on, no problem. You know, it got frozen in the ice, also no problem. I think it just gets tastier with time. So another plant here, another one that tends to just grow completely berserk, is bergamot or bee balm. And there is a reason why it's called bee balm. Bees love it. Actually, all pollinators love it. Bees, butterflies, hummingbirds love it. Right now, you know, it's still just growing. You know, it's still putting its energy into its leaves. But when it finally blooms, it blooms in very pretty, bright pink flowers. And the last but not the least is another thyme plant. This is another old plant. I've had this thyme plant also about as long as I've had that sage. So again, use it constantly, and it doesn't need any work. Thyme too, by the way, can be used as a ground cover. And if you want some patches of color and something for the pollinators, you can use the bergamot. So everything in this box is edible. Obviously, sage and thyme are herbs used in cooking, and bergamot I harvest in the fall, harvest its leaves, and I dry them and I make them into an herbal tea mix. This box right here changes its contents from year to year. Right now it has some of these guys here. Again, this is pollinator fodder. I need to snip off the dead flowers. It has some more creeping Jenny ready to be pulled up and transported to the slope, and another one. You know, I love this color, so pretty. Another kind of mixed box. This one, this sad little guy here, is actually a lavender plant, and this is the edible lavender plant. It's not terribly happy. It is trying to come back to light. You see it has some green on it, but it's struggling. I'm gonna have to give it some food and see if it perks up, or I may need to replace it. And these two are again pollinator attraction. You know, bright, colorful flowers, you know, something they like. And got a little bit of an ice plant growing here as well. Ice plant is another great ground cover. You know, it just produces this kind of weird looking, almost like a sea plant looking texture. But it's very pretty, and it blooms. I think they come in different colors, so definitely worth considering. Another box of edibles. So this parsley, amazingly, I didn't think it was going to survive, but it did. So this parsley is doing well from last year, and you can see my sister-in-law and my nieces gave me this little fairy garden for my birthday, and I thought it was so cute, so I kept it and set it with my parsley. So next to the parsley is oregano. And it looks like already I'm gonna have a crazy amount of oregano this year. This one is another one that I use a lot and I give away a lot as a dried herb because it just grows like crazy. It's like a weed. It's absolutely nuts. And of course, my rosemary plant. This is a pretty old plant. I think it's 2.5 or 3 years old. So I'm trying to take a really good care of it, just to give it some food. Make sure that it comes back nice and healthy before I start harvesting it. So right now I am not harvesting this plant at all. I'm just letting it grow out. So there will be time for that. This right here is another old plant, and this too is lavender, but this lavender is not for eating. It's just for smelling good and keeping mosquitoes away. So it is a lovely big plant. It has a box to itself, so it's just growing. I am considering eventually replanting it out on the slope. I'm just not quite ready to do that yet. There's another oregano plant. I think the two are different. The one that lives in this pot and the one that's over there in the box. Those are two different oreganos, but I forget which one is which. Doesn't matter, both are tasty. Big standing box here had lots of different residents. Right now it houses a hosta, which just kind of ended up here. I have no idea where it came from. It just appeared one day. And I have hostas growing wild here. As you can see, I didn't plant this. I know a lot of people struggle growing hostas because they do require moist, kind of darkish environment. They're kind of a shade plant. But here they grow like crazy. Just out of nowhere. So this particular little hosta just kind of popped up. And the other one is Russian sage. It is edible. It is more bitter than the regular sage. I usually just keep it for the flowers. You can see if I zoom in there on the tip, you see it's kind of purple here. So it is getting ready to bloom probably in a few days. And pollinators are going to have all kinds of fun with it. So that's coming. This is what I call my slope garden, and this is largely for the pollinators, although I do have some edibles growing here as well. When we first moved here, there was nothing here but dirt and weeds. So everything you see here that looks like not a weed has been planted by me. And yeah, it was dirt and weeds all the way down there to the bottom of the driveway, all the way to the azaleas. So I'm slowly winning this patch of land away from the weeds and turning it kind of into something a little bit more cultured. But you can see some bright green patches in there. That's the plant I showed you on the balcony. Those are little creeping Jenny plants that I put into the soil last fall. Let me zoom in on one of them. Yep, here it is. So this plant here started up about the size of a dollar bill, and it's already all over the place. There is another one down there. See the bright green patch? That is two plants. Again, each was the size about of a dollar bill, and they are, spreading very nicely. So I'm hoping they will spend the summer taking over and winning more of the land from the weeds. More of the sweet William here. There is some roses. The butterfly bush that's unhappy with me because I had to cut it back. Anyone who ever owned a butterfly bush knows it's crazy when it just grows every which way. So I had to trim it from the bottom and let it grow up a little bit more. So it's feeling a little bit cranky, but it'll come back and there will be butterflies all over it. I have two lilacs. There's another one. Yep, there's one right there at the bottom. So here's another couple of roses. So slowly but surely this is turning into a garden rather than a weed patch. Got some peonies. There we go. So there's my creeping Jenny. So that part right there, the one with hostas, that is still a battleground. We're still working on that. We're still having to mow this. Eventually, I'd like to have enough ground cover to not have to mow at all. Just have to weed. So when I said I do grow some edibles here, this is what I meant. These two boxes. First of all, the box number one, this is the first box. I got it last year. We set it up. And I gave it over entirely to a bunch of dwarf raspberry plants. And it looks like they are settled in very nicely. So I'm expecting some raspberries later this year. Not later today. Here's more creeping Jenny. And I basically manually pulled up all the weeds from around here and replaced them with something pretty, like these pretty plants over here, to attract pollinators so that they would pollinate the plants that are in the box. This one is a new box. It's a work in progress. My husband installed it just recently, and it needs the same kind of work. So see, there's a bunch of grass and weeds between the two boxes. So same plan. What I'm gonna do is pull up those by hand and plant some Creeping Jenny and some Sweet William there, and just let them take over. See how that goes. I need to order some soil also to fill these. They don't look that big, but it takes a ton of soil, to fill up all the levels. In this one, I'm still using only 2 levels. I need to fill up my top level. But this one does have a purpose. I already know what I will be doing with it. I will be planting some tomatoes and peppers and hopefully cucumbers and maybe some squash in this. So coming soon. And here's another view of the slope garden from another angle. And again, just this is so much work, and I love gardening, I really do, but it is a tremendous amount of work. You have to have the stamina for it, and you have to stick with it. You can't get just frustrated and give up. So here we are. We are back where we started at the rain barrel, and now you've seen it all. So I'm very fortunate. I have a house with a lot of room to grow stuff, which is awesome. I can't tell you how much difference that makes for me. It's very therapeutic gardening, I think. Even though it means you have to have your hands dirty occasionally. If you are into gardening and you don't have a lot of room, consider other options. Consider containers, consider indoor growing. There are no lights products that allow you to provide sufficient light for growing things inside. Of course, keep in mind how your four-legged children might react to this, because of course they love to take everything into their mouth, especially if it's green and interesting and fluttery. So something to consider. You may have to protect your plants. You may have to suspend them from the ceiling. You never know. Put them on top shelves. Something. But you can be creative, and you can grow things for no other reason, just to make sure that you know how to keep something alive. My parents sort of prodded me into gardening, like so many children. I was asking for a puppy when I was little, and they told me I had to prove that I was responsible enough to take care of something, so they gave me a plant. Well, I took really good care of that plant, and I did so well that I didn't get a puppy. They just kept giving me plants, and they always showed me how to do stuff at our garden. We had one outside of the city, so I pretty much was around some kind of something growing for as long as I can remember. And I think it was a useful knowledge, and I'm glad I have it today. So I hope this gave you some food for thought and some inspiration. And let's get your garden started.